Greetings, growers worldwide. Jordan River here, back with more GrowCast, and it's time to ask me anything. Today's episode is a member preview. That's right. We do the Ask Me Anything live stream for our members every other Saturday, plus we do GrowCast TV every single Wednesday night. So I decided to release this one as a little free teaser for you listeners. It's a really great and informative Ask Me Anything live stream, and Mary Beth Sanchez is on the line, along with Wolfman and Riza Rich and myself, as we answer all of our members' questions. It's what we do at the Order of Cultivation, our little membership program. We give a lot of value, but the number one value is we will help you in your garden. So this was a great AMA, and you members can catch them every other Saturday. Before we get started, I would like to encourage you to check out our membership program at growcastpodcast.com/membership. You can try for 7 days for free. You'll get hundreds of hours of bonus content of the AMAs and GrowCast TV. You'll get access to the members-only Discord. Come and hang out with me every single day. Wolfman's in there. Mary Beth is in there. She's nowhere else. Riza Rich is in there. The whole team is hanging out. Come and see us. Come and smoke with us. Plus, you get members-only discounts on products that you hear on this show, along with GrowCast Seed Co., giveaways, resources, and so much more. Check it out for free. Consume all the content. Enjoy. I appreciate you listeners just tuning into this show, but if you want to see more, go to growcastpodcast.com/membership, and please enjoy that 7 days for free. Thank you to all the members, and thank you to you listeners for helping us continue our mission of overgrow and teaching people how to cultivate at home. Okay, let's get into it with this awesome Ask Me Anything. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. As I was saying, the Ask Me Anything live stream only for the Order of Cultivation. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for being here. People filing in. It is Saturday, July 15th. We're about to get together this evening, the Great Plains chapter, meeting up at Lake Hefner in Oklahoma City. And we are going to clean up some litter, everybody. That's right. We are cleaning up the lake. Very excited.
All right.
Got to make a community impact out there, everybody. So I'm very grateful for Lake Hefner Evergreen, our friends over there. They're an awesome, awesome group of people. And they wanted to clean up the lake, so they're teaming up with a bunch of local Oklahoma artisans. Chrome 6 was involved. Chrome 6 hit me up. I said, sign me up, of course. But that's not what we're here for this afternoon. Today, we are doing the Ask Me Anything live stream, and that means that you can drop your questions in the Q&A in the Zoom. That's why we're here at the Order. You know what I mean? The baseline of overgrow is we get people growing. Now that you're growing, we're going to help you succeed. What are you struggling with in your garden? What don't you understand about cultivation? What's something that you heard on the podcast that you'd like more information on? Go ahead and drop those questions in the Q&A today, right now, and get after it, everybody. If you're watching this from the replay, you can always drop your questions in the comment section of Patreon anytime. Cambot, don't you act up on me, man. Don't you act up on me right now. I am not in the mood. I'm just kidding. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Happy Roots, Hemp Toad, Crazy Legs, Randnug, Brandon, Recaptcha, B-Money, Shane Laner, Mary Beth Sanchez is in the chat, Mike the Pool Guy, Cincy, Gypsy, everybody, Michael, everybody's here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What up, Dry Lady? Beakers? How are we doing? Let me bring on our esteemed guests. Cincy's making some strawberry gummies. He's going to be up at the Legacy, Michigan event, which is in 1 week. I'll see you there, buddy. Very excited about that one. I'm all over the place, guys. I said I was going to slow down, and then I made a busy July for myself. But don't worry, I've got plenty of downtime. I've got all the important aspects that we talked about on previous town halls and things of that nature. Got it all lined out for the rest of the year. So I'm very excited. Let's see. Ooh, how does that work? Z Murder says he's naked. All right, buddy. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat. What's up, Mary Beth Sanchez? How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm outside watering.
Oh, okay. I like
so
that.
So if I make a lot of noise, you just bear with me.
That's no problem. What are you watering? What's looking good in the garden?
Every little thing, but we're supposed to be well over 100 today. So I figured this today and tomorrow. So I want to make sure that my poor babies don't all dry up and die. Right now, I'm sitting right here next to Mr. Peach Trimmer.
Oh,
And over on the side, there's a 9-pound hammer.
nice. Oh my
Oh, I got
goodness.
some gorgeous flowers blooming all over the place too. You know that I have
Wonderful.
to keep something alive for the bees.
Yeah, it seems to be a serious heat wave going on. I know we set
Oh,
some records for hottest day, and then a bunch of places are experiencing
yeah.
100-degree plus weather. It's nuts.
Yes. This,
Uh,
the poor plants get so stressed. You know, they're having a hard time around 80, but when it gets to 100, they're really going, Jesus, please.
mhm.
Did you hear yesterday, Death Valley, California, 130,
Jeez, oh man.
100 fucking 30, God
Oh my God.
almighty.
Glad I'm not growing over there. What's up, Rich? Rich joins us. What's up, Rhino?
Rich!
What's up?
Richard the man!
How's it going, Mary Beth?
Hey, I love your plants, Rich. They are always the most vigorous and happy of my garden. They just
Thank
seem to
you.
jump up and say whoopee faster than anybody else. And God,
Hell
they
yeah.
look healthy.
Listen, Rich, I say it all the time, man. I probably just sound like a fucking D writer, but
Yeah.
you always outdo yourself. You just posted today a cookie truffle shuffle. This strain has been fucking shocking me. And once again, look at that. Good gravy,
I
man.
want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Green Poncho. I remember Green Poncho grew that.
Oh, is it? Shout out Green Poncho.
Yeah.
Fucking killing it.
Good
My
job.
goodness. Look
Day
at that
56,
structure.
I believe.
Okay, so did these
Those
come out
crystals.
Yeah, talk to me about how this came out, man. Is this kind of how you imagined this? I see the Oreos in it for sure. I see the truffle cake
Yeah, you
coverage.
can see both parents. Yeah, I
Yes.
see both for sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, when making a cross, you really hope for most of them to come out 50-50. I think that's the goal of most breeders. But definitely with the truffle cake Oreos, that was my main hope, was looking at the phenos that are more 50-50, just because I love the Oreos and the truffle cake both so evenly. They're both super dominant though, so I expect a lot of phenos to come out leaning one way or the other, but I am seeing a lot of these 50-50 ones, so that's really good. And same with the cheesecake and double stuffed. It looks like everything's crossing like really well, genetic percentage wise, you know.
Is the white truffle it's in this lineage, right? The truffle cake has white truffle in it?
Truffle cake is white truffle crossed to pancakes.
Right. And then the white truffle was crossed to the truffle cake was crossed to the Oreos to make this strain. Now,
yes.
that white truffle, man, I just got to enjoy a sample of that. Shout out to member Terp Burper. Oh my goodness. Top 5 of the year. I don't know if I ever tried. You must have given me the white truffle at some point, but I really got to sit down and enjoy it. You know what I mean? I got to get to know it. And that sage, oh my God, that sage note that comes out of the white truffle is absolutely gorgeous. And even the Oreos, you say you love the way it smells in the room after you've smoked it.
That sage taste and
It
smell.
smells like somebody fucking smudged in there with a sage stick.
It does.
So that's really what I'm focusing in on this description, where apparently that came through both sides, because something about that sage note has just been flipping my cookie lately, man.
Yeah, I used to get really good dank from Colorado back in the day. I'm talking like 15 years ago, and it had a sage profile, and it used to get me super stoned. So I've always loved sagey, like flavored weed, but you don't see it that much anymore. You know, it's really like pine and sage and those like different natural herbal smells. You don't see a lot of those anymore. It's a lot of like fruit, shit like that. So I can appreciate a good sage flavored.
I was smitten.
Strain.
I was absolutely smitten. So,
white truffle is a good one. Farmer John actually gave me that cut, and I'm sure that if you got it from Turt Burper, it's the same cut.
It is.
They're partners or whatever.
100%.
And I love white truffle, but I think once I had the truffle cake, it basically like made me want to just throw away white truffle. You know what I mean? Like it just dominates white truffle.
The truffle cake goes first. Let me be honest. When I'm sitting with the truffle cake, almost nothing gets smoked above the truffle cake unless I'm trying to save the truffle cake. That's just me.
It's literally like a white truffle on steroids, a little bit gassier. I do still keep the white truffle around though, because it is a great one. I can't say otherwise. And it does breed out extremely well. So I would hate to get rid of it for that reason too. So I'll always keep her around, but the truffle cake just blows that one out of the water so far as like head stash weed goes. So I don't really run it for myself anymore, but I do still keep her.
Man, that white truffle was very surprising to me. So very good stuff. You continue to impress. Checking in with chat. Z Murder said he's going to be a banana rider forever. Stay safe from the tornadoes, Beaker. People saying mouth-watering, Jesus. I see you out here, Green Poncho. Ooh, Brandon's already smoking his Oreo cheesecake? Damn, dude. That's amazing. Are there any blackberry terps in the Oreo or white truffle? I smoked a bowl last night and sort of got a hint of blackberry. That's amazing. I mean, listen, who knows where that could be coming from?
Yeah, everybody tastes different too. So it's totally possible that you're getting some kind of a hint of that, I'm not sure though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that, Brandon. God damn, that Oreo cheesecake. Okay, we got questions coming in. Let's see here. Oh, Brandon's got a question in the Q&A. He says, when using cocoa as an ingredient in soil mix, should you still buffer it with CalMag? Absolutely. Because cocoa tends to grab onto certain things, right? Mary Beth, I don't know if you want to unmute and remind me. I don't want to say the wrong minerals here. But
it's calcium and magnesium. Yeah,
it just releases
locks it like a magnet.
And sodium, right? It releases potassium and sodium and grabs onto calcium and magnesium.
I'm not aware of the release part, but I know it really wants to hang on to your calcium and magnesium. So if you don't completely fill every site, like soak it in calcium magnesium water before you ever even accept your soil thing, to make sure that all of those sites, because it's electricity and it's all electrons, microns, all this shit. So anyway, they're just electrically bound to it. So any calcium that comes in, if there's an open site on the cocoa core, they're going to go to that rather than to your plant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So not fair.
Follow cocoa steps. Yeah. Follow cocoa steps to buffer that. And it's going to be less impactful to not do that in a soil mix because there's other stuff in there, but you still want to do it because those little parts are going to rob your roots. That small percentage.
You're going to notice a deficiency really quick.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely do that buffer and enjoy, my friend. Wolfman joins us. What's up, Wolfman?
Not much. Just enjoying this beautiful morning. How's everyone doing out there in the world?
Doing good, man.
Overheated.
Yes, indeed.
Jesus,
it's way too hot.
What's up with that?
Is it hot in Oregon too? It's just hot everywhere right now.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
it's so hot here.
Yeah, we're in the low hundreds. This week. Hurts. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, I got some good questions piling up. So yeah, Wolfman, one thing I wanted to say to you was we just did that food stream. Thank you for popping in. You talked about that candied bacon. I've been thinking about that fucking candied bacon. If you members make the candied bacon, or if you make
so good.
I might have to give away some prizes if you guys do that, because I was really thinking about that smoker that you're running, Wolfman. So I got to get out there. Get out there and fucking chow.
Yeah, I definitely saved the curry recipe. I would like to tinker around with that one myself, or even go take a trip and eat it with the man himself.
That's right. I'm gonna see Rugged at Pestapalooza in just a few weeks here. We're down in LA, Wolfman. You're only 20 hours drive.
Yeah, come on.
I might just shoot up
short jaunt.
Yeah,
I'll be home at lunch.
Rich.
I might do it. Okay, so we got a good question here. I want to answer this. Shane asks about a recent episode with Nick from Rooted Leaf. We just recorded a potassium episode that was so good. Those deep dives are so awesome. Shane is asking about the episode that we talked about sulfur. And he said, is sulfur the one that Nick said the roots actually have to grow into the mineral in the soil to absorb? And Mary Beth, I want to know what you think of this, because Nick said something really specific. We were talking about wettable sulfur, which is elemental sulfur, right? The powder. And I said, when you spray that stuff, is your plant absorbing a lot of the sulfur that you're spraying, or is it just strictly for IPM? And he said that the elemental sulfur does not absorb very well. Now, that's not the only form of sulfur, right? Like you still foliar their rooted leaves peak bloom, which has sulfur in it, but I don't think it's the same form. I might have to ask him about that specifically. Is that right,
You're probably right, because I don't know which form it is. You know, if it ends with ATE, I'm sure it's absorbable. If it doesn't, it's probably not. But I know that the elemental sulfur is normally not used as a nutrient; it's used as a pesticide.
That makes perfect sense.
So it might not be
that's what he was
meant
saying.
to be uptaken by plants.
I think that's what he was saying, Shane. It's less about the about the nutrient sulfur, rather the form that it's in. And that elemental sulfur does not. I think he said that it does a little bit, but he basically said it doesn't. It's not like applying a foliar spray. I said, if your plant is sulfur deficient, do you hit it with that wettable sulfur? He said no. So I think that's what he was.
Yeah, I've never heard of it being used as a nutrient so much as a pesticide.
Good to know, because I always thought, hey, you're spraying it with sulfur, so I thought that we were adding that, but he said it doesn't work like that.
Well, remember to look for the source, and if it ends with an ATE, you're probably okay. If it doesn't, no, not okay.
I think what about Jadam sulfur? Is that going to be absorbed, or is that only pest, or are we talking both with that one?
So you got to think that if it's a fermentation process, it breaks it down, right? Makes it smaller.
Yeah, most likely.
Which makes it more
I would think it would be plant available, yeah.
That's what
I would think so too. I think you get both benefits out of that one then, huh?
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, Jadam sulfur. Really good point, Rich.
I've been using it. That's why I'm asking about it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely interesting to know. I'd like to follow up as well. Was currently about what element he was talking about. Yep, it's the elemental version of sulfur versus. I love what Mary Beth said about. I know we highlighted this recently, but the suffix ate, like you just said a second ago, that's so cool.
It's a good clue.
It's a good clue. It's probably absorbable by a plant. So good stuff. Good stuff. I like, you guys know I love Foop Mist for my foliar, but you know what else I like is what Mary Beth recommended to me. You used to recommend a product, I'm sure you still do, but it came up in the past. Regentera.
Oh, yeah.
Powdered product.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. That stuff
I've had some amazing results with that stuff. I put it on some plants that were like, I call them the zombie plants. They're neither living nor dead. Like they just kind of sit there and they don't thrive. They don't die. They just kind of don't do anything. Huh. And then I put the Regentera on them, and suddenly they're jumping up saying, whoopee, and they're upright and they're growing. They're just going, wow, I'm loving life. I'm like, that definitely did something, something beneficial. Yeah.
It's an aloe based.
It's strictly aloe. It's powdered aloe, but they try to be really pure with it. And it's what's nice is that it's a powder. So being dry, you can store it forever. It's not like if you have bits of aloe vera and you've got to keep them, so from rotting or whatever.
Oh, and this is just all what's naturally in the aloe?
Yeah. And you just put in 1/4 of a teaspoon, which is a tiny amount per gallon. So it's not like you're using tons of it and they're asking you to put in a cup and all that kind of shit.
Right.
It's very effective. And so even though, it might cost a little bit for a bag, that bag lasts a long time. It goes through a lot of plants.
You're right.
And you don't have to put it in every watering. You put it in maybe once or twice a year, or if you see an issue or something.
Wow. Yeah, I thought there was other stuff in the mix. That's beautiful. Aloe powder. Yeah, that stuff makes your plants so happy.
It does. Like I've noticed a difference every time I tried it.
Love it. Guys, drop your questions. We do have some more grow questions here. I want to answer them. What's going on in your garden? Don't be shy. Tell me what you could use help with. Rannug asks, what are some of the best ways to keep deer out of the garden? You can eat them.
Oh, you need an 8-foot fence. You can try the repellents, but boy, nothing works like an 8-foot fence. They can jump a 6-foot fence. Did you know that? In fact, I've seen cows jump a 6-foot freaking fence. I kid you. I mean, it wasn't every cow. It was some pretty tough cows.
Every cow.
My God. I'm like,
every cow right over.
What kind of a fence do you need?
Oh, my goodness.
Holy shit. Yeah, you need a tall freaking fence for the deer, and watch out because they find any little breach in that fence and they're coming in. There's nothing out in the woods as good as what you've got in your garden.
I don't know where you are, but if you're close enough to the Canada border, our Canada chapter captain, he's a guy named Hort. and he'll come take care of that deer problem. You got to send a message. You understand?
Is he a hunter?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mary Beth the vegan. Is there anything
we're the
else?
Worst. We actually feed them, and I know you're not supposed to, but good God, they've got nothing out there. So we'll
You're
go
feeding
ahead
the
and
deer?
we buy bale of alfalfa and we leave it in our backyard. So when they come to stare at my garden with lust, at least they have something that I'll allow them to eat outside the fence. So I don't feel so shitty like just torturing them with my garden that they can't have.
That's kind of what we decided to do with the rabbit, right? Because same guy, Hort said you should just eat the rabbit, and I'm like, my daughter didn't love the idea of eating the rabbit. So,
oh man, I got a nest of rabbits in my backyard.
Well, now we just planted more shit for them to eat, Rich. That was our solution. Like, we'll just give them.
What we did.
It's a terrible solution. Just going to invite more rabbits. But
wait, have you heard what happened to the rabbits in Australia?
No.
Australians didn't normally have rabbits, but when the British came, they thought, well, we need rabbits. That's easy food. Right. So they brought the rabbits. Well, guess what? The rabbits got no predator. They got no predator at all. And so the rabbits took over the whole fucking world. So they spend all their time trying to build fences to keep the rabbits out of their crops. They got rabbits like nobody business down there.
I had no idea. That's wild. Yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff. But is there anything else? So for instance, for the rabbits, while we're on the subject of rabbits, Rich, capsaicin is an option. If you don't want to kill the thing and you don't want to feed the thing, spray some hot pepper solution all over your garden. That's like one way to kind of help. But deer, could you do that with deer? Probably, right?
Well, there are some repellents that they have commercially prepared repellents that are just super stinky stuff. Just try it. I did do the rabbit repellent and it seemed to work.
Oh yeah, predator urine.
Spring, and that's a really good one. I know I've used that for deer before. Like cut up Irish spring soap bars. You can place it around there, and they'll leave your shit alone.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Something about the fragrance and the deodorant they just hate.
Specifically Irish Spring. I don't know why too. It must just be some real nasty shit.
It reminds them of what? It reminds them of Ireland. What are you saying?
It reminds them of people.
Oh, reminds them of people. Duh. Okay.
Yeah. They want to get the hell away from them.
Irish Spring. Reminds them of Ireland. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, smells like people. No shit. The Irish Spring. I haven't heard that. Fucking, that's great. So Randnug, there you go. You try the physical barrier, and you can try the Irish Spring trick. You can try some capsaicin. And, if all else fails,
supposedly human hair, like if you go to a beauty shop, supposedly you can get bags of cut hair and hang it in your trees. And
Walmart smells wolf urine.
I don't know if that's actually effective, but maybe it is. I haven't actually tried it.
Have you been urinating in Walmart again?
Again?
On occasion, but
it's liquid gold. The man sells it wholesale.
I think it's like coyote or wolf urine. They got one or the other there, but you could try that.
Cool.
Hey, Midnight Samurai is in chat. He makes
why gonna tell everybody?
Jedem, so I can tell everybody.
Hey,
that was our secret.
Secret, yeah, totally. Oh, that's good. Motion activity sprinkler. Is that what you call it, Wolfman?
In this valley, it's crazy. What's that?
I said motion activity sprinkler. Is that what you call it, Wolfman?
Yes.
No, that's not a bad idea. Motion activity sprinkler. So when something comes by, it gets sprayed.
That's a great idea.
In this really hot weather, that sometimes they learn to like it, and they'll try to turn it on.
You're just giving them a nice misting.
100%. Yeah. Oh, have you ever seen the bears just relaxing in your hot tub or your swimming pool? They like, "Ooh, this is nice."
We're trying to keep the deer out, and they're like, they have some really good spicy lettuce down at this farm, and they've missed you while you eat it. It's so
excellent. Groovy, daddy.
Yeah, totally groovy, daddy.
Like the cafe in Amsterdam that we like.
Oh, Badger says he's heard of people keeping on radios to keep deer out. That's fucking cool.
That would make sense.
People getting creative. Midnight Samurai, my man, Shane's Organics.
I just thought of something. Those things that they put in front of the stores that blow up and down.
Yeah, the wacky waving inflatable man.
One of those.
Yeah, sure. Listen, we're gonna go all out here. We got to do it. That's true IPM.
Everybody should have one of those.
Everybody should. Yeah. Just to keep you company in the garden, really.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally. during harvest season, at least. I want to shout out Shane's Organics Midnight Samurai in chat. When Rich mentioned the JADM sulfur comes from this man, so he's dropping some tips on sulfur in chat.
Yeah, I use it and get really good results with the sulfur stuff from him.
Yay.
Ooh, it makes sodium polysulfide. That's technically what it is. So I don't know if that's available. We should definitely ask Nick. That's really
the plants definitely react positively to when I give it. Like they'll start praying and shit. So
yeah, totally.
Whatever. It's not toxic.
That's cool.
It may not be, if it's not absorbable a lot, there's definitely something getting in there, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Don't be shy, guys. Drop your questions in the Q&A. Drop your questions. We do have some pollination talk. Maybe we should fire this in just in case Rich needs to go. I know you got some stuff going on this afternoon. Rich, can we announce the male of the pollination? Because, man, I told people you were back on the fence. Everybody was like scrambling. What's the next male going to be?
Yeah.
Did you lock it down? I think you locked it down.
Yeah, I think we're going to do the apes for sure.
Oh, what? You just go with it like that, bro?
The apes.
The apes in space. So what are the parents? It was Falcon 9 crossed to...
Yeah, the Falcon 9 is the dad, though.
Crossed to... God, it's just escaping me right now. Grease monkey, that's right. Grease monkey.
Yeah.
And I like
to do something more gassy, and this one's super gassy smelling, the male, and has beautiful structure. So, I don't know. A lot of stuff we've done is fruit. I know the last project wasn't really fruity, but I would like to do another project that's not necessarily based on fruit. There will be some fruity moms in there and shit, but I definitely wanted to bring some more gas to the just to some of the lines that we have out there. A lot of people like gas. Gas is my favorite thing.
And there's so much peach work to be done, right? You're definitely going to work more peach in the future. So I like these other projects totally. Where you get to mix it up in the meantime.
Exactly. There's plenty of stuff to do with the fruit, but I feel like just genetics in general, like we need more gassy and funky shit out there, especially lately, because a lot of stuff is just fruity and doesn't really get me stoned. So I need that more rancor, like we were talking about before, sage or pine or gas or skunky or stuff like that. I want to see. So
something with body.
This one's more gassy, and with the grease monkey and the Falcon 9, I hope to see even more gas. So
yeah. You look back in the lineage and you see a lot of good grandparents and great grandparents there. Girl Scout cookies, which I'm a huge fan of the original Girl Scout cookies. Gorilla Glue is in there, and so is Diesel. You've talked about Diesel. And with the original Diesel is part of that lineage as well. Diesel. So that's got a lot of my favorite building blocks.
Sour Diesel pain in the ass to grow, but crosses.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just a hint. What up, Slug?
You get
Slug in the chat.
Flavor across. That's always a positive.
I miss that Diesel. We got it once or twice.
Me too.
Growing up.
You don't see it much, especially nowadays, dude. You really do not see it. It's hard, but like I said, it's hard to find at least I feel like it's hard to find really gassier stuff these days. It's just so much fruit going around or, different sweet. If it's not fruit, it's like sweet,
Yeah. Yep. That's true. Cakes, cookies, sweet. It's in right now. And I like you kind of mixing it up, but stay tuned for the apes in space pollination. Those are going to be some great names, some great art, and of course, some amazing genetics coming out of there. I'm really excited for the apes in space.
Me too, man. I'm stoked on that one for sure. Yes, I was leaning toward it from the beginning, but
got to make sure. We got some more questions coming in here. Let's knock these out. Laner dude says, I'm waiting to start growing with living soil. Is it worth it mixing up my own soil for 2 20-gallon pots, or just build a soil 3.0? Either are good options, man. That is a preference thing for sure.
How much work do you want to do, right? Is the work more valuable than the money, or take your pick?
And 2 20-gallon, you're going to end up buying for 2 20-gallons a lot of ingredients. So it may be more cost effective to just buy some well-built soil than to make it. But if you have a lot of time, you don't mind spending a bunch of extra money and shit, you can definitely mix it yourself.
Okay, that is a really good point, Rich. You're going to have leftovers of all the shit that you buy. When you
just for sure.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I mean, not guessing, but there is going to be some guesswork in it. It's not your mix isn't going to probably be tested or anything before you use it, so you're not going to know exactly what's going on. Like some of these, like a build a soil 3.0 or something will have going on. So just some things to keep in mind. It can be done. I'm not trying to discourage you, but it's going to be more time and money for you. Gallons.
The more that we talk about it, the more I think that the bags of Build-A-Soil are the best for a beginner.
You may need to amend something later, but it's not going to be much.
Yeah, you probably will have to amend something later, but exactly, it won't be much. You could probably do something simple like some one shot, maybe like a sustain
potassium or something. Yeah, never know what.
No, that's a really good point. If you buy all the things to mix soil, you're going to end up buying large quantities of those things because that's how they sell them. And then you're going to mix up your 2 20-gallon pots and you're going to be left over with a bunch of other shit. So if you're trying to invest long-term, maybe go with mixing your soil. But if you're just beginning to grow, I would probably say just buy a few bags of Build-A-Soil, fill those 2 20-gallon pots. Make sure that you want to continue doing this, right? Like, make sure that you get into it. And by the way, you're going to, like, if you're setting yourself up for success, that's a great soil and you're in a large enough pot.
Re-amend it.
Mm-hmm. And he's not in a 5-gallon. He's in a 20-gallon pot, which is a good size. So you're going to have great success with this laner. And I would probably go Build-A-Soil, at least for the first run. Get a few runs under your belt.
It's good soil too. You'll have quality ingredients in there and shit.
You use that 3 times, man. You can run through that shit 3 times. It's good stuff. Maybe a little bit of something here or there, some potassium or whatever. Good shit, man. Good shit, Laner. Let us know. Keep us up to date, man. I'm really excited to see your grow. I think you're in the Discord. So any questions you got, we got you. We got answers, man. Hit us in the Discord or any of these AMAs. This AMA brought to you by The Foop. That's right, baby, thefoop.com with a new code, brand new code, GrowCastF2 to save 15% on your certified organic nutrients, clone gel, foliar spray, and more. Thefoop.com. Go and check it out, everybody. You know I love The Foop. This stuff is unlike any other fertilizer out there on the market. It ain't just a replacement for your average bottled fertilizer. It is organic magic in a bottle, loaded with beneficial bacteria, fungi, and all the macro and micronutrients that your plant needs, plus humic acids and more. It is a wonderful, wonderful addition to your lineup. Even if you're using some other bottled nutrient line, check out their Foliar Mist. It's a wonderful full spectrum organic spray that's based on their nutrients, and their clone gel is a great way to kickstart the microbiology for your next run. I love the Foop clone gel. I use it every single time, and I get big, fuzzy white blooms under my 100% success rate praying cuts. You can check out an awesome video on my YouTube with those results. Just the other week, using Foop clone gel on my cuttings has been a total game changer. Everything's certified organic and earth friendly. Find it at thefoop.com and use our brand new code GrowCastF2. That's GrowCastF2 for 15% off. Thank you to the Foop for supporting this show and for making such a unique product line. If you haven't checked it out, now's the time. Thefoop.com, GrowCastF2 for 15% off. Thank you to Foop. Be healthy, go organic, and use that Foop. But I do like, how have I not spoken to Jeremy yet? I think that I've reached out to him before. I want to say that we've even agreed to something. We just haven't put it on the books yet. But I would love to speak to that guy. Build-A-Soil's great.
He's super nice.
Yeah, he's super smart. The product rocks. It's expensive.
I talked to him at
that's the downside,
or something. He gave me a bunch of shit. I bet he would come on and talk to us.
Totally. Like, you got to pay for quality, man. It's expensive stuff, but it's good. It's good quality.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they test all their shit too. So it's, it's not just like them sourcing it. They have good sources. Yeah. They're,
that's like purity.
Stuff. Yeah.
That shit adds up. If you got to test every batch, if you're going to go out there and say, hey, we test every batch to make sure there's no mold on this fucking coffee, you got to pay for all that testing. So
yeah,
it is what it is, man.
That's true.
Keep us up to date, Laner. Keep us up to date. Beakers getting ready to collect some pollen. Can you have Rich go over his process for harvesting and storing pollen again? Well, funny you mentioned that. Be sure to stay tuned for our breeding class. We're out in Virginia in September. growcastpodcast.com/classes. And that's a really cool workshop. I'm excited for that one, Rich.
I am too.
But basic pollen collection, what do you like? Do you like the dog collar method? You like hand collecting? What do you recommend for a beginner?
I don't collect pollen anymore. The male stays in the room and does its thing. So I don't really collect pollen, but when I do, what I would usually do, I never did the dog collar method, although it does work. I usually take those like a turkey pan, like a disposable one you can get at the store for like $1. I usually would take one of those and put a sheet of paper in it, or just take the sheet of paper in my hand and kind of put it below the flower I'm getting ready to kind of beat up and get the pollen off of. And so I stick the flower like over top of the piece of paper and kind of shake it and get as much pollen as I can. And then I'll take that piece of paper and like empty it into a little container and do that for pretty much each flower. So I'm not spilling it every time I'm moving around, because it's really easy to spill pollen on a piece of paper when you're like touching branches and stuff. So I like to empty it between each flower. And once you're done collecting it, if you're doing it that way, you need to go back to that container, empty it out like on a flat piece of paper, very dry piece of paper, of course, like nothing that's on a wet counter or anything. You're going to get every piece of plant material out of there, like every male sac or flower, bananas, anything that's not pollen needs to come out of there. And keep that pollen spread out. And I usually leave mine on my like desk in my room for about 3 to 5 days. And I will let that pollen dry. If you do not let it dry and you just go to store it right away, it's going to be super wet, and you're going to come back and it's going to be a moldy mess. It's not going to look the same. It's not going to be powder anymore. It's going to be like a liquid. It looks like powder when you dump it off, but trust me, there's plenty of moisture in that pollen. You really need to dry it 3 days minimum. I like to go to about 5, so 3 to 5. And once it's dry, then you can store it. I like to put like rice grains, uncooked rice grains in with it, just to help keep moisture out. Some people will do flour, like baking flour, and I've also done that. You can mix some baking flour into the pollen, which really isn't a bad idea because it cuts the pollen some too, which spreads the pollen out. So you can kind of get more surface area with the pollen. So when you go to use it, you have a little bit more, you can spread it out more than if you just had, 1 gram of pollen. Now you have 2 grams of, it's not 2 grams of pollen, but you got 2 grams of powder that you can spread about the room versus just the one. So you get a little bit more surface area. So either one of those will work, or you can do both. If you don't want to cut it with flour, just use the rice grains. And then once I, put the rice grains or flour in, I'll put it in some kind of a container that hopefully is airtight. And then I'll vacuum seal that container and I put it in the fridge, in the back of my fridge, and it does fine.
Fucking brilliant breakdown, my friend. I like the rice trick. I like the highlight on keeping the moisture out, keeping it clean. Now, those turkey pans, great idea. I've even heard of some people just leaving them. Like if you can kind of balance them under the nail.
You can leave it too.
You can leave it and it'll just naturally bust right in the pan for you.
Come back every day to that flour and you'll get pollen every day off that same flower.
Brilliant. That is the move. Because the dog collar method, the dog collar method is, I think that I invented that term, but it's where you create those cones. Like
you make a Elizabethan collar out of it, an e-collar. Yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is that really what it's called?
The dog collars, the cones are called e-collars, Elizabethan collars. Yeah.
I did not know that. Because like people used to wear those crazy collars back.
I guess so. Yeah. But that's what they're called, Elizabethan collars. Wild. Isn't it funny?
It's really good to know. It satisfies my history OCD quite a bit.
Information, worthless info.
Dude, know. Brilliant. So I put these Elizabethan collars on my plants. The problem with those are because you tape it as like a cone sitting on the main stalk so that any pollen falls right in. It's a great
idea.
Removing it is the problem. Removing that fucking thing.
That's where I had the problem when I attempted it, was removing it. And if the piece of paper isn't long or wide enough, not all of the pollen from the flower was dropping in it. So it really has to be like positioned right. It definitely works though. It's just a little bit difficult. So
fucks yeah, man. Brandon says he's trying to make the breeder class. Sorry, just really quick, Mary Beth Sanchez. Guys, use your member code. And if you're coming from out of state, DM me. This class is worth it. Come on down. We give you an extra deep discount if you want to drive from out of state. And we just hook up the goodie bag. Like the goodie bag is worth more than the ticket price, especially when you use your member discount. And we love doing this class. Rich, you killed it with this curriculum. It's simple, but it's still jam-packed with some good, like heavy-hitting knowledge. And people are making their own crosses because of you.
It's going to be awesome, too. It's going to be such a fun. Come to the Nova in Norfolk. That would be awesome, dude. I don't know if they let us do a class at the Nova. They might.
Is that like a traditional place?
It's a cool venue out there. If that's what he's talking about in Norfolk. I didn't know it was still around. It's been there forever. It's like a concert place, but like you stand up and it's very like intimate, close to the people, you know?
Well, I appreciate you, Brandon. I appreciate you, Rich. I'm excited to get out there to Virginia again. So love my East Coast Chromies. I'm sorry, Mary Beth. I didn't mean to step on you.
Oh, no, we're in Virginia.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say regarding the pollen collection, you were talking about the Elizabethan collars, and I was just going to say that I kind of practice a modified version of that where I take those really, really small paper bags and I tie them onto the end of a branch, and then I, so that it stays on, and so all the pollen falls into that bag. And it's all nice and dry in the bag, and you just leave it in there as it's drying. Or whatever.
That's smart.
But you can collect in a space there. Like suppose you can't get your plant out for some reason to separate it from the females, but you can usually cut off the pollen that way if you're really vigilant, or even if you just want to collect it. I mean, it's an easy way to collect it if you have a lot of those little paper bags.
I could imagine
you just kind of just tie it on, like you say, a collar around the thing, but
on the end.
Yeah, it completely encases the flower so you don't lose any of the pollen.
Wow. That's a great idea. I could imagine you could even punch a hole in it to like almost do like an air pruner type thing where like anywhere if you're dealing with a male cannabis plant, anywhere where there's those pollen sacs, you could probably get a bag around it. That's smart. That's super smart. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking of like putting the hole into the branch where the flower is, like into that bag, and then tying
it off. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy mode.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Put your whole bud stem in there as much as it'll hold and tie it up, and do what you can do. That's assuming I get a lot of these bags from going to little stores. It'll sometimes give you these little paper bags. It's a good way to reuse your little paper bags.
Yeah, absolutely. People coordinating rides.
Heck?
Get in the Discord, everybody. Meet up in that classes channel. Any sort of rides or travel stuff, Airbnbs, it all goes down in the Discord. So I'll see you guys in there. Drop your questions in the Q&A so I don't miss them. But I think Shipper here has a great question in the chat. Let's knock this one out. I did catch it. Mary Beth, he just picked up a 50-pound bag of crushed oyster shells from the local feed store.
Perfect.
$20 a pound. $20 for the whole thing? Something like that. You got a good price on it. Thoughts of adding calcium to my indoor grow bed.
Yeah.
And adding them to his worm bin.
Ooh, sounds great. It's a long-term breakdown, though, unless it's finely ground. If it's big chunks, the bigger the chunks, the longer it's going to take. That's all I'm saying. The finer the powder, the faster it's going to break down. But if you got lots of worm activity and lots of particularly fungal activity, that'll break it down faster.
Use as directed? Is it like a couple cups per yard?
Yeah, it's usually something like, for 100 gallons of soil, you put in maybe 2 cups or so, 2-3 cups. Could be more, but yeah, calcium's a popular thing for the plants, and you're going to get a lot of good calcium out of that. Plus, you're going to get some phosphorus out of that. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Oh, damn, we got some good questions coming in here. And limited time. All right, let's knock these out. Maybe Wolfman can chime in on this one. I bet you Mary Beth has something to say too. Jesse is asking, what would you do to treat a barrel of stagnant rainwater for feeding? If your rainwater has been sitting a little too long, maybe there's some bad bacteria in there. Wolfman, do any products spring to mind to clean up water, kill bacteria, sterilize water?
Nothing right offhand. I'm a little stony this morning. I would imagine there's something. Some kind of bacteria,
like SLF
something.
Or
that's what I was thinking. Dr. Zymes work. Dr. Zymes, or even hydrogen peroxide probably would help, because if you're just killing bacteria, basically, you're trying to reoxygenate the water. Hydrogen peroxide might be your best bet if you can get it cheap. Get the 35% or something. Put some in there.
It depends on how bad it is, Jesse. That's probably what I'd say. Like if you can tell that there's some, it smells, for instance, and there's some bacteria that's like producing these odors.
Yeah, you might want to
go a little heavier, right? Right, Rich? Like a hydrogen peroxide or a Dr. Zymes, which will kill that shit.
It's safe. Yeah, it's safe.
Yeah, if you're trying to kill like bacteria and shit like that, for sure. I'm thinking of like mosquitoes and larvae in there, but yeah, absolutely, dude.
Good point. And then whereas if it's just been kind of sitting for a while and maybe it doesn't stink, it's just been like a little stagnant, you could probably just get away with throwing in some SLF 100 and just let it rip, or some high idea.
And if there is a mosquito or larvae, just a little bit of soap on top will kill that shit.
SLF's a good idea.
That's what he said.
If you put some soap on top, all the mosquito and everything, they can't stay on the top. They all drown. They die.
Is that right?
Yes, they do.
A layer of soap on top. That's
like
cool.
You put your dish soap on top of whatever body of water you have, and all the mosquitoes drown.
Wow.
They can't float with the water. It breaks the tension.
Wow, that's fucking cool. Very, very cool. He said he added mosquito bits, which is BT, I think, right? Like BTI.
Yeah, BTI. I just think because it's good to be watering into your plants anyway.
Yeah,
doesn't hurt.
And then he said he used SLF 100, which
fungus gnats down.
Which, Rich, you mentioned actually contains a little bit of BTI, not on the label. And you spoke to the owner, and he told you that there's BTI in SLF 100.
Yeah, you can look it up on Google too. It isn't. They'll tell you it's in there. It's just not on the label.
Just not on the label, exactly. That's fucking. There you go. I love it. Yeah, you're set, Jesse VA, and you want that rainwater. That rainwater carries not only microbiology, right? That's amazing, but also
minerals too.
Nitrogen. Yeah, atmospheric nitrogen. Yep. So that's a good boost to your plant. Good luck, Jesse. Keep us up to date on that. I love the rainwater collection. Okay. Big Badger. Best peppers to grow indoors. He says he's got habaneros. He's got jalapenos. He's got poblanos. Will it get warm enough for them to be happy under an LED? They're not loving it outside right now.
Why not?
I wouldn't bring your outside ones.
I wouldn't bring them in. Yeah.
I'd pop
no, they
ones.
love the heat. Peppers want a lot of heat. They might be suffering because they're not getting enough sun. I mean, they freaking grow in the depths of Mexico and shit. They like hot.
Yeah, that is true. He is in Texas, where it's probably 110 degrees.
It's incredibly hot, but maybe just put yourself a little shade cloth or something.
He says
it's too intense.
Indoor.
Oh, he's starting from seed? Oh, then absolutely.
Yeah, so if he's starting from seed, you can like any hot pepper. There's a lot of hot pepper breeders that breed indoors. So like anything that, ghost peppers, scorpions, I'm sure jalapenos, anything like that, you should be able to do inside. No problem, I would think.
But if he's looking for heat, the LED isn't going to do it. Excuse me, you're going to have to supplement some kind of heat in that.
So to Mary Beth's point,
but of course, if you're in Texas, maybe just being alive.
It might already
be hot.
Well, here's my experience. To Mary Beth's point, my Tabasco peppers outside in the heat, they truly love it. I've grown peppers indoors. They'll do great in your tent, but there's something about the outdoor sun and heat where they start praying, because like Mary Beth said, that's where they're accustomed to. So they like that.
Everything is better outside.
But then also the heat turns up, they start growing like crazy, right? More heat means more transpiration. They're uptaking more minerals and all that good stuff. However, you can absolutely grow them in your grow tent. I grew that jalapeno in my fucking basement and that fucking setup sucked. So if jalapenos can grow in there, they can definitely grow in your tent.
Yeah, it just depends on your setup, how hot it gets. Like my LED tent can get up in the 90s, no problem, especially this time of year. So they would probably crush in there.
Two things, because you want to run. Listen, guys, we've been down this road before. AC, yeah, but if you just joined, for instance, you want to run higher ambient temperatures with your LEDs. We've dug into this before. It has to do with the displacement of the light and the single focal point of an HID versus spread out LED. Long story short, when you switch to LEDs, you want a warmer tent. To Rich's point, my 4x4 right here, no exhaust fan. I just have I'm sorry, no intake fan. I don't want to misspeak here. I have my exhaust running and I have a passive intake going to keep it extra warm in here. Yeah, baby, just peek into the tent.
Yeah, I keep my tent around 82 and they love it. If it drops below there with the LEDs, they're usually like, they do fine, but they're not as happy as they are when they're at like 82. 80-ish, 82.
Look at that truffle cake towering over everything.
Oh, it looks so beautiful,
So
Brant.
praying and happy. Yeah, that's a really nice plant in there, just peeking in.
Just peeking in and out. He's keeping an eye on you.
So yeah, exactly. Cambout's keeping an eye. So so you run it different, right? I have a passive intake, and my exhaust fan is set on like 50%, and it gets warm in there. It gets into the low mid 80s and feels great. Plants love it. So yeah, it's something to consider. I forget the point that we were getting at there, but
it's the truffle cake.
What the fuck was I just saying? But the peppers will do great. The peppers will do great either way, but they'll rip extra hard if you can get it warm. That's my consensus.
Yeah.
Let's see. GPS Badger. Hopefully I'll be down in Texas soon. Okay, let's try to knock this out. We got 12 minutes. We got a few questions. We can do this. Hemp toad. How long can it take to recover from excessive potassium? Should I replant it or flush? I was reading, you got it, my plant wrong and thought that there was a CalMag issue Let's late stage. So some of the leaves are turning almost completely brown from excess potassium. I would need to see a picture of this hemp toad. I'm not sure that
whatever it is sounds like you need a flush.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would wonder. I want to see pictures.
So really quick,
plant and close up.
Hemp toad, I would post in the plant problems channel. Because the thing about potassium, we got a whole episode on it. It's going to drop the first week of August. And you can have Mary Beth, you have said this from just like a gardener's perspective. And on that episode, Nick totally like verifies what you've said about high levels of potassium.
Things get wonky and crazy, but they get dang.
Exactly. The potassium levels can get quite high before bad things start to happen. And it does literally directly translate to terpene and cannabinoid production. This potassium episode is so fucking good, you guys. But to the point, hemp toad, I would like to see this plant because it might be something else going on. So go ahead and post it in the plant problems channel and we'll dig in with pictures and video. He said he flushed last night. So you're using bottled nutrients, right? I almost guarantee that flush is going to fix whatever it is if you're on the bottle, because that's what those nutrients are designed for. They have enough calcium and magnesium. They have enough potassium. Is your plant absorbing it? That's the question. It might need a flush. It might need its pH to be corrected. It might need the temperatures raised. All of these things can inhibit your feeding. But if you're using any bottled nutrient line that's like worth its salt, pardon the pun, it's delivering the minerals. You might get a little hungry, but you shouldn't see major deficiencies. You really shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Oh,
and here's the other thing.
Oh, dude. Okay. Well, then we got to talk. You got to use FOOP very specifically. Me and you will talk in plant problems.
And BioBiz is a little weird. I know I'm helping somebody that was running BioBiz and having major issues and, just wasn't having a good run with it. So that one you got to be specific too. Yeah,
absolutely. Here's the thing about the FOOP. You want to be starting in a rich soil, not necessarily like full-blown build-a-soil, but you want minerals in your soil. The FOOP is not a one-to-one replacement for bottled nutrients. It's more of a soil conditioner, right? So if you're in smaller pots even, doesn't matter. You'll have great results. You just need to get some nutrition in there. Kyle from the FOOP has lined out what he uses for his mix. It's got some azomite. It's just got some goodies in there, some rock phosphate. And then you want to be watering to runoff. I 100% believe that flush will help you, because the thing about the FOOP is people don't water to runoff because they think it's like, oh, I'm in soil and it gets too hot in that container. So you should be watering to runoff with the FOOP and doing a flush every so often. I'll get you on track, Hemp Toad. We will get you on track, man. Wolfman said he was using BioBiz 20 years ago. It's crazy how long they've been in business. The FOOP is tricky, but it's a great fucking product, and we'll get you lined out. Get the pH on point, get the watering on point, and make sure that there's nutrition in your soil. So we'll get you taken care of, Hemp Toad. Post that in the Plant Problems channel. Any questions, guys? We have a few minutes. We finished early, so any questions you have, drop it before we go. What's up, Wolfman? What's going on? Flush is the answer. Flush is always the answer, right? It's like the unplugging your computer and plugging it back in of tech support in the grow world. That's what I call it. I know it rolls right off the tongue. So I agree. You sound far away, Rich.
My far.
You went far. You went far. He's far
You're full blown
out,
apes in
man.
space.
He's
You're
far
full blown
out.
apes in space now, man. Ground control to Rhizo Rich.
Mm-mm.
Midwest Matt has a question. If re-amending soil and letting it cook, is it better to leave it in the dark or have the grow light on low? That won't make a difference, will it, Mary Beth?
Repeat the question.
If you're re-amending soil and you're letting it cook, so let's just say you're cooking soil, you're letting it, kind of bake and establish, and the microbes get going.
Yeah.
Is it better to do that in the dark or under light? He said a grow light on low.
Well,
Doesn't matter,
you're
right?
trying to mimic natural conditions. So I
Okay.
would try to mimic natural conditions. Now, here's the one problem that I have with a lot of people wanting to, what you're saying, like get things going before they put the plant in.
Mm-hmm.
What they fail to realize is the essential part of the equation is living plant roots. You got to have some kind of living plant roots in there. Otherwise, the biology is just going, well, what do I do with myself? I don't have anyone to trade with. I need to trade what I got for what they got. And there's no living plant root in there. That part of the system is missing. It's really, you're not doing yourself much of a favor. What you need to do is to get that in before you put the plant in, of course, but it doesn't have to be days and weeks and months, or it doesn't have to sit and ferment with no plant roots in there. You've got to at least have a cover crop in there, something for the biology to do. Yeah, you got to have something going on in there.
So people focus on the
terminate
cooking
your
part.
cover crop if that's what you want to do. Terminate your cover crop before you plant your principal crop. Don't have them both growing together. Okay, then mulch, and that's my religion.
People focus on the cooking part, which I'm sure, like you said, there is some action going on, right? There's biologists.
Yeah, but it's not necessary. Yeah, it's pretty much kind of like slowing down though, because if it's looking for roots to interact with, that's their whole life is involved in the plant root zone. Mm-hmm. You don't have them just living out in soil where plants aren't there. They only live around root zones. They want a root zone. Give them a root zone.
So shorten the cooking time and then get some cover crop. Get it in the container you're going to grow in.
Yeah,
get some cover crop
when you want to cook with a cover crop. Don't cook without a root in that soil.
That's really fucking cool. I like it. I like that a lot. That's great advice, says Midwest Matt. Yeah, been a while, man. I did notice. I love you, man. Good to see you back, my brother.
I can be opinionated. I know. Just bear with me.
Here's another great question to wrap the stream. Big Badger. What all can be sprayed through hydrostatic sprayers? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Badger, but these are the ones that mist with like a trigger, like the Petra Tools fogger. Is that what you're talking about, Badger? Because these things look so cool, Mary Beth, but I'm worried that it's going to kill my bacteria. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. Yes.
Yeah. Bacteria would probably not be harmed. It might be annoyed with you, but it could probably get through fine.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm trying to find it. Mini fogger. Here we go. And it's all like, it's a bunch of cannabis content. That's so funny. Mm-hmm. Like the backpack fogger is what everybody uses in traditional ag. Right. This is the mini fogger.
Picture. Oh, that looks so beautiful.
Yeah,
it's good for the small application.
It's a light comes on when you trigger it too. So it's got this purple light that shines through the mist. So you can like really see where it's going.
Sweet.
It's super sweet. But I was worried to use it, Mary Beth, because I thought it might not, like Badger's saying, maybe it won't like this. Maybe it'll kill the bacteria.
No, I don't think it would. I think they pass through those kind of things fine. Bacteria are amazing, but the fungus, not so much. They're just too big. And they'll tend to want to, like if they do get on any matrix, they'll want to stay and grow and clog things up and be a problem. But so if you have a strictly bacterial mix that you want to put through a non-fungal mix, I bet you that'd be fine.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because I'd imagine they've thought of that sort of thing. I've spoken with these guys before. We were going to do some content together. Cool product. Their Crop Defender is interesting, though, because it's an oil-based product, but it has a tiny bit of sulfur in it. And I know you're not supposed to mix oil and sulfur.
Yeah, I wonder how they're getting away with that.
I think they use such a small amount that it doesn't cause any issues.
I don't know. But they must have done tests. So it's something.
It's right there on the bottle. Yeah. I mean, it says, let's see if we can see the active ingredients. Soybean oil, corn oil, sodium lauryl sulfate. That's got sulfur in it, right?
Yeah, plant available if it's sulfate. So
yeah, and it's only 3%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works because maybe, like you say, it's not elemental sulfur.
Maybe
it's a sulfate.
That could be.
And so, yeah, that could be the difference.
But it's a pretty good product. I like their Crop Defender. Not affiliated, but definitely interested. I've used it before on my outdoor
That's
crops.
correct. Yes, they do.
This is great. Yeah, it does depend on how the sprayer works, right, Wolfman? You've talked about this before, how the motor pumps really chop up the biology, whereas the diaphragm pumps don't. So I don't know how the electrostatic sprayers work. I don't know that technology.
All right.
Yep, they're called impellers for a reason.
Oh, they're impelling.
Well, I don't know if those are. I'm just saying, like an impeller pump. That's just a impeller propeller. It's just a blade that spins to push the liquid through. So that's going to chop up some of your stuff, but you're still going to get some. Yeah,
and just let us know what products work through that or what might gum it up. I'd be interested to know. So keep us posted, my man. And hopefully I'll be down there to see you Texas Gromies soon. There we go to the top of the hour, everybody. Thank you, panelists. Wolfman, Mary Beth, Rich.
A pleasure as always.
Thank you, everybody.
Always good to be here.
And you listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, members. I love you guys. Hear that, Badger? Do a sewage test. Is that what you call it? Awesome episode. Thank you. Everybody have a safe weekend. Come and see me. I'm at, first of all, that's our show. Thank you for tuning in, listeners, and thank you to all the members of growcastpodcast.com/membership who are tuning into these AMAs and GCTVs every single week. So check it out if you want. We would love to see you over there and see you as part of membership. You get access to the content, so much content, hundreds of hours of content, members-only discounts, access to our Discord server, and 25% off all our classes. That's right, I got a brand new class with the Flower Farm. It's a terpene class and a terpene tasting, the Flavor Farm. That's right, September 9th, we're in Tampa. And then after that, we are doing the breeder class in Virginia, September 16th and 17th. So check it out, growcastpodcast.com/classes, and use that member discount. Get 25% off. I'm very excited about this Flavor Farm class. It is an in-depth terpene tasting and education experience where we will go over 5 terpenes. You'll get to experience them in their raw form, in their natural plant form, in food form, and then in flower form, all while learning what terpenes can do for you and your body and the planet and your garden. There's no class out there like this. I'm doing it with my man, The Flower Farm, and you can find it all at theflavorfarm.com. That's the flavor, PHARM, The Flavor Farm. I really, really look forward to this class and maybe taking this one on the road. So it's a different type of class. We're always evolving. We're always trying to bring you guys more exciting and entertaining and educational content. So you know to stay tuned and don't touch that dial. Thank you so much to all you listeners. I appreciate everyone tuning into this show. And I hope to see you in membership. And if not, thank you so much just for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you next time. Be extra safe out there, folks. Bye-bye.
In fact, I've seen cows jump a 6-foot frickin' fence. I kid you. I mean, it wasn't every cow. It was some pretty tough cows.